Asian Pacific American Heritage Month is held annually in May. But why May? May commemorates the immigration of the first Japanese to the U.S., which occurred in May of 1843. In addition, the anniversary of the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad is on May 10th. The completion occurred in 1869, and the majority of the laborers were Chinese immigrants. Did you know that Asia is the largest continent of our planet, both in size and also when we consider the population? The continent of Asia includes 48 countries that are members of the United Nations. Asian countries are mainly located in the eastern and northern hemisphere. Two of the Asian countries also share part of their territory on the European continent. These countries are Russia and Turkey. More than 4.6 billion people live on the continent, thus making it the most populated continent in the world. There are as many people living in China alone as in Australia, New Zealand, North America, South America, and Western Europe combined. This huge continent is home to many ethnic groups where vastly different cultures are practiced. Many of these groups have their own distinct language. In India, more than 850 different native languages are spoken and used in daily conversations. In Asia, more than 2,300 languages are recognized. Some of the most popular tourist attractions in Asia are the Great Wall in China, the Grand Palace in Thailand, Kyoto and the cherry bloom in Japan, and of course the Taj Mahal in India. The Great Wall of China is the world's longest wall, measuring in at 13,170 miles long and over 16 feet tall. The Great Wall is more than 2,300 years old. It was built by soldiers, forcibly recruited peasants, and prisoners in 700 BC. Badaling is the most visited section of the wall, sometimes reaching 70,000 visitors in one day. The majestic and spectacular Grand Palace in Thailand is without a doubt the most famous landmark in Bangkok. The Grand Palace was built in 1782. Located in the heart of Bangkok, the Grand Palace is actually a complex of buildings that has been the King of Siam's official residence since its construction. Today, it acts as one of the most popular tourist destinations in Thailand. Not all of the grounds are open to the public. However, there is still plenty to see in those parts that are. The palace is also used for hosting royal ceremonies and welcoming the king's guests, state guests, and other foreign dignitaries. The grounds of the Grand Palace are made up of 3 different courts. There is the inner, middle, and outer court. The outer court contains buildings that are open to the public, as well as a temple of the Emerald Buddha. With over 100 buildings on the grounds, the majority of the architecture seen consists of traditional Thai architecture, though there are other areas that are inspired by the European Renaissance era, as well as a combination of both. Kyoto is a city on the island of Honshu. Kyoto is well known for its majestic cherry blossom season. The cherry blossom season begins in mid-March and ends around the middle of April. Tourists and locals alike flock to see the stunning blooms each year. Cherry blossoms, referred to as sakura in Japanese, are found everywhere in Kyoto, in parks, on streets, along canals, and restaurants. The Taj Mahal is located in India and is one of the most recognizable monuments in the world. With its intricate details and harmonious design, the Taj Mahal is at the pinnacle of Indian architecture. The Taj Mahal was built as a labor of love by Shah Jahan to house the tomb of his beloved wife, Mumtaz Mahal. The couple produced 14 children together and were very devoted to one another, but unfortunately, Mumtaz perished at the early age of 38. The emperor was devastated by her loss, and with the help of over 22,000 laborers, constructed the Taj Mahal in her honor. As you can see from the intricate details, it took the expertise of many painters, stonecutters, embroidery artists, and over 1,000 elephants used for hauling materials to bring the Taj Mahal to life. The project took about 22 years to complete. Speaking of animals, Asia is the home of many different species, including monkeys, tigers, Asian elephants, the infamous Komodo dragon, and many other animals. Did you know that Komodo dragons are the largest living lizards? Believe it or not, the Komodo dragon can eat an animal as large as a buffalo. A little fun fact about Asian elephants is that they are smaller than African elephants. You can spot the difference by the size of their ears. Asian elephants have much smaller ears. Asia is also home to many endangered animals, such as the orangutan in Borneo and the Chinese river dolphin. Asian inventors have created countless tools that we take for granted in our daily lives, from paper money to toilet paper to PlayStations. Asia is responsible for some of the most revolutionary inventions through time. The ancient Chinese invented many things we still use today. Some of their inventions include paper, calligraphy, silk, porcelain, matches, firework, medicines, kites, tea, the umbrella, jump ropes, tangrams, the compass, and of course, ice cream. Did you know that kites originated in China? Kites were invented by two philosophers by the name of Mozi and Lu Ban. Kites ended up playing a vital role in providing military intelligence for Chinese forces. Ancient Chinese kites required very simple materials such as wood and cloth, and often resembled the shapes of birds. Today, they are much more elaborate and vary in shape, size, color, and aerodynamics. The kites flown today look a bit different than the original Chinese kites, and even the kites of modern China, but the concept is the same. One of the most beautiful things about kites is the many adaptations by various cultures around the world. Another invention that originated in Asia was calligraphy. It was during the Shang Dynasty in the 3rd century BC that the system of writing and art form of calligraphy was invented. Calligraphy originated in ancient China as a means of communication, as well as a means of self-expression. One's ability to write in calligraphy was seen as a display of control, inner peace, and status. All noble and royal children were taught calligraphy. If you love ice cream, you have King Tang to thank. King Tang had 94 icemen working to invent an ice cream-like food out of buffalo milk, flour, and camphor. This popular treat was first eaten in China around 200 BC. Famous explorer Marco Polo is believed to have seen ice cream being made during his trip to China and introduced them to Italy upon his return. Have you ever wondered where the Sony PlayStation was invented? If you guessed Japan, you are correct. The story of the history of the PlayStation dates back to 1988, when Sony and Nintendo were working together. Nintendo was dominating the world of gaming at the time. Sony had not yet begun developing home gaming systems, but felt that partnering with Nintendo would give them the edge they needed to be successful, and boy were they right. The Sony PlayStation, or PSX, was released in 1994 and it was the first video game console to sell over 100 million units. The PSX Joypad allowed for more control than the competitors' controllers. As a result, it sold more than 300,000 units in the first month of sales in Japan. The PlayStation was introduced to the United States at the Electronic Entertainment Expo in Los Angeles in May of 1995. Sales reached 100 million by the end of 2003. So who are some of the most notable and influential Asian American and Pacific Islanders? Have you heard of Patsy Mink? Patsy Mink was the first woman of color elected to the U.S. House of Representatives and the first Asian American woman to serve in Congress. She was also the first Asian American woman to seek the presidential nomination in 1972. To quote Patsy Mink, "Women have a tremendous responsibility to help shape the future of America, to help decide policies that will affect the course of our history." Vera Wang is the daughter of Chinese immigrants and is a well-known fashion designer and mogul. Wang was hired as the youngest editor at Vogue magazine. After 19 years in the fashion industry, she became an independent bridal-wear designer, where she made a name for herself and became number 34 in Forbes' America's Richest Self-Made Women in 2018. Vera Wang's designs of Olympic costumes earned her a spot in the U.S. Figure Skating Hall of Fame. She has also been honored with the Leadership in Arts Award by Harvard Radcliffe Asian American Association. In 2013, she added the Jeffrey Bean Lifetime Achievement Award to her list of accolades. Dwayne Johnson is a professional athlete, actor, and producer of Samoan descent. Johnson is well known as a WWF professional wrestler and for his many movie roles. You may know him as the voice for the Polynesian demigod Maui in Disney's 2016 film Moana. In 2012, he founded his own production company, Seven Bucks Production, co-producing and starring in the Jumanji sequel. U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth is an Iraq War veteran, Purple Heart recipient, and former Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, who was among the first handful of Army women to fly combat missions during Operation Iraqi Freedom. Duckworth served in the Reserve Forces for 23 years before retiring at the rank of Lieutenant Colonel in 2014. She was elected to the U.S. Senate in 2016 after representing Illinois' 8th Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives for 2 terms. To learn more about Tammy Duckworth, visit her at www.duckworth.senate.gov. What better way to celebrate Asian American and Pacific Islander heritage than by researching, reading, and supporting Asian American businesses and work? Here are a few children's books to check out.